Greetings. This is Griff Ruby, the Nostalgic Catholic, with another Touched by an Angel episode. This one is titled simply Manny, and here is the little boy who claims to be Manny. But let us first briefly introduce some of the dramatis personae. These family here of Archibald Bowthorpe's. This is the mother, and she can go on and on about her great family heritage. This is the son who inherits all of that extreme and extraordinary family heritage. This is the wife of the son, who sadly has been having trouble having children. Despite all these efforts, she's coming with a face like this because she's just had to explain once again. Her latest attempt has again failed. And of course, Manny himself. Or later on, we'll learn he actually has another name. So let's keep going. They decide to. First of all, Manny claims apparently this family was already sending so much money a month to some child in Ecuador or El Salvador, one or the other, and they're going there, or the child is supposedly living there, and then here's this boy who claims to be that child, having somehow smuggled himself all the way to America, and here he is at the doorstep wanting to meet his benefactor, and so they take him in. It's been a long trip, he's tired, and they put him down in this bed, and he gets up the next morning. He's not around. He's gone out and explored. He's found a magnificently long slide, at the bottom of which is this great big clubhouse, very funky and hand-built and so forth. And it even has a little name of it, the Super Warrior Club. And actually, if you look closely, there's only one name on the list of members. Kind of depressing in a way. Anyway, we'll see more of that later. Well, they kind of start trying to include him in their family details. So here he is, being allowed to drive the golf cart, and, well, things kind of get all over the place. He's having a lot of fun and going, ah! I think he's realizing he went the wrong way. But he wants to be a member of the club, too. And the guy's, well, sorry, this is adults only. I don't mean the golf club. I mean the Super Warriors Club. And oh, well, that's kind of neat. So he says, well, but I outgrew it, and so I'm not a member anymore. It doesn't exist. And he says, well, maybe they can revive it. So it turns out they finally get a hold of somebody in the child services, whoever it is that takes care of this. And it turns out that Manny Galinda, that's the name, is Ecuador. Still in Ecuador, meaning, who is this little boy then? Where does he come from? Well, they can't very well leave him around too much because there's just a lot going on. They're getting ready for, it's not an event, okay? So they're getting ready for this big event, founders event, because they want to be commemorated for founding a child's wing of the hospital, which the doctor and the rich family have been able to provide a very substantial donation towards the construction of such a thing, and he wants to put, a name on it. But the little boy is there, just Manny or whoever he is still with him, and he says he wants to go to the bathroom, and he starts to head out, and he goes, wait a minute, you know where it is? Actually, he does. But he comes out, he has to ask where it is, the guy says, and he goes to the door. You can see him going to the bathroom door. He just touches the handle briefly and goes where he really wants to go, which is down into this secret little place he's got in the basement of the hospital, behind that air vent screen. That's really large. That must be leftover from a set for Mission Impossible or something, because they're always, because most vents are really tiny. And in there, he's got this little place that he's lived basically since his mother had come to this hospital and they were unable to save her. So, but now he's also learning the hospital is going to be torn down. The new wing is finished. The old wing is done, and it'll get torn down for something else, which means that'll be the end of this little place that he's been living in for how many years. But he's in there. There's a picture of his mother. She died there, and so he kind of feels like he wants to stay near where she was at the end. So he's back in the office, and the father sees, he sees this little heart. He says, "What is this? It's a heart." "Well, that doesn't look like a heart." "Well, it doesn't look like a Valentine heart. It's a human heart with all the different muscles and bits of cartilage and blood vessels and everything else sticking out of it. It's a very anatomically accurate heart." And then he borrows the stethoscope and wants to hear his own heart, and the doctor finally says, "Here, let me hear this." And he puts it on there and says, "Oh, no, that's a good, strong heart. This one will be going for a long time." So, well, it's getting closer to the event. They've got them all kind of dressed up for this thing. By this point, they have found out something else, though. His real name is Louise Perron, to be precise. And because the angel knew that. You've got to tell them the truth, and it's a really interesting. Yeah.
You're not going to tell, are you? No, you're going to. I can't. Don't make me leave. Don't know what I want. I have to find family from you. But if you have to lie for it, please, it will never really be yours. Let me tell you a secret. I'm an angel. Leah, Billy, oh, don't be afraid. God loves you, Louise, and He is here to prayer. I know who you are.
So that's a nice little revelation there. Very nice revelation. And now the glow. They're getting the glow kind of more down to how they want it to be. But once they learn he's not the boy they've been supporting in Ecuador, who is he? Where is he from? And why should they even take him in? Is this some con game? No, he's just a little boy in search of a family. And here they've done so much to help another boy out in Ecuador. Maybe they should be able to help find room in their hearts for this little boy. And the guy's ready to just kick him out of the house. And it's time for some truth here. The mother has to explain something. She is not actually a Bowthorpe. Her husband was not Burrell. She married an Archibald. But meanwhile, she had even had a bit of an affair at one point, and the son's real father is Mr. Rojas, the gardener. And he's like, "Oh my goodness." So, I like this look on his face. "I'm not a Bowthorpe Archibald?" "No, you're not." But what's really kind of great is it's time for him to realize that all his background that was all fictitious anyway isn't what defines him. It's what he himself has done that defines him. He went through medical school. He's become a doctor of some considerable renown, and he's managed whatever share was apportioned to him, the family money, is well enough that he's been able to do that hospital wing, and between that and having a serious income as a doctor, he's really, his achievements. And, he's generous. He's giving to this whole wing and so forth of the hospital, and he's become the doctor. And so, those are the things that really define him, things that he himself accomplished, not the supposed past that really has no reality. So, at this great big, event or gathering or whatever they called it, he's called upon to speak. He has a speech all prepared about the long, legendary history of the Bowthorpes and the Archibalds and so on and so forth. And he starts to give that speech, and then something very interesting happens. And he takes this one extremely well, and I like this scene here.
Founders, proud and honored to carry on his worthy traditions. I come from a long line of Archibalds and Bowthorpes. I grew up hearing the family tales of my mother's father, Alden Catering Bowthorpe, and his tremendous generosity.
Now he realizes it.
The truth is, ladies and gentlemen, that this donation is not about the Archibalds or the Butlers. It's about my giving something back to the community. Originally, the new wing of the hospital was to be called the Beaufort Archibald Children's Pavilion. But this facility has absolutely nothing to do with the past. It has to do with the future. And for that reason, it is my desire to simply call this facility the Children's Pavilion, because that is who it will truly benefit.
Wow. So that's really, quite a, he's not really admitting to anything, but he's decided he's not going to make stories anymore. So, that's a major transition as he's realizing who he is distinct from, what he's built, the life he's built, the generosity he has shown from his own resources rather than from simply, what came to him from the family. So, at least he's not lying. He's not continuing to lie about who he's been or anything. He's not saying it's a lie per se, but at least he's just cutting that out and saying, forget these Archibalds and Beauthorpes. This is simply going to be called the Children's Pavilion. That's what I want it to be called. Because we're looking to the future. Children are the future. It all works out very nicely. So, he walks out right after that. And suddenly, Monica has a message.
Let's just be clear on all
No. I have a message from God.
God. Why don't you just let me call you a taxi? Oh!
Don't be afraid. I'm an angel.
What does he have to say? God.
Well, he says big deal. So your name isn't Harrison Trowbridge Archibald IV. Big deal. God loves you, and he knows who you are no matter what your name is.
Oh, I've been living my life. It's a lie.
Hey, would you have done anything different if your name had been Rojas? Would you have been any less of a person? Would you have loved Barbara less? Harrison, who you are is not your name or your family. Who you are is more essential than that. It comes from God. And what you make of yourself, that is what you give back to God.
Maybe God knows who I am. But
I have something for you. This is a family. Not people who share a name or a lineage or a background, but people who belong together because they love each other.
Wow. That's really, I think, profound. What defines the family is not these things. I mean, they're good things to have where reasonably possible. What you've seen is attempts for that to continue that haven't been going well. But what really defines the family is that they're people who belong together because they love each other and, stand by each other. So, that's really something. So, he goes and finds Manny, or I should say Louise, again, hiding under the hospital in his little spot. visits him there, and he brings him back to the clubhouse and gets him write down the name of his son as a second member. As I said, I mean, his father and he had built it together when he was 12, and it was his little secret hideout. But they're really, not really secret in a real sense of the word, but that was the thing. It was his little private space. But he had hoped that maybe there'd be some friends in there with him who would be in the club together, and that didn't happen. That's kind of tragic. So that is, and what happens with Manny. So I, for one, really do like this story, even though it's fairly simple and almost rather prosaic in a way, but it's real for all of that. I mean, these are real people. They've said the things they said and done the things they've done, and then they found what's really important, what really defines their existence, and in that, discovered how to really be a family. And so it's a wonderful thing, and I really like this episode. It's not one of the better known ones, the more popular ones. It's never been issued anywhere else, as far as I know. Well, I don't think so, unless maybe a Columbia tape. I'm not sure. No, I don't know. But at any rate, it doesn't get a lot of attention, but it is actually, I think, a very good episode. And the characters are wonderful. Everything just fits together nicely. And thanks for watching.